Hello, good morning, or good afternoon, I should say. Been here since morning. But we are here for this event, Web3 and AI. We're going to do some general introductions and a broad overview of what is taking place in this field, which is very interesting, which most people are overlooking at this time, don't really truly understand what's going on. So hopefully we can whet the appetite, clear up a few misconceptions, and invite you to learn more. And it'll be beneficial to you, especially those of you that are still students and are just beginning your career, because it's important to know where we are going rather than just exactly where we are right now. Because by the time you guys finish school and so forth, a lot will be going on. But to begin, we'll be having just the opening of the ceremony. We'll be having a prayer by Benita Aiken, who is from Emmanuel Christian Academy. And at this time, we'll be inviting her up. And thank you all for being here this morning, afternoon.
Good afternoon. Can we bow our heads, please? Heavenly Father, we want to thank you for this afternoon. We want to thank you, Lord, for all that we will garner from this seminar today. And so, Lord, we just present the entire proceedings in your hands and ask, Father, that when we leave here, that which we have learned, Lord, we will not put it on a shelf, but that we will use it, oh God. Take full control of everything that will be said and done as we give you thanks in Jesus' name. Amen.
Okay, so as we're getting ready to start, at this time, we'll be inviting up our welcome remarks from Mr. Otis Osborne, the chairman and ISOC, head of Department of IT here at the university, UCC.
Okay, good afternoon, everyone, or good morning, wherever you are, good evening, wherever you are in the world. I am Otis Osborne, the chair of the Internet Society Jamaica chapter, as well as the head of the IT department here at UCC. Once more, welcome. Now, today's seminar promises to be an exciting one. And you, well, all of you already should know what AI is, but you may not be aware of what Web3 is. Now, Web3 is the new iteration of the internet, and it promises to be or build on one of the objectives of internet society, and that is to create an internet that is open and secure. And that is a promise, that is one of the promise of Web3. Of course, it also involves new innovations. And one of those innovations is blockchain. Now, you would also be aware that even with the internet today, or even with how you interact with online classes. Now, online classes are currently being done through some online meeting tool, either Zoom, or you could say Teams, Microsoft Teams, or Google Meet. However, what you may not know is that your online interaction can be more engaging, more exciting. And this is within what is called an immersive virtual environment. For example, you would attend classes in the form of an avatar, and you would sit at tables and even interact with the lecturer who is leading the session, right? Those are the things that you can expect from AI, Web3, Ed3 DAO, and as well as what you should expect going forward in the education sector as the education sector develops and implements these type of engaging environment. Thank you.
Okay. So just a little housekeeping. When you are moving about the auditorium, please stay clear from the view of the camera because it was interfering with quite a few people are registered and viewing online abroad. So we have a wide audience, not just the people that are here. So the next person we'll be having up will be to do our message, and this is Professor Colin Giles, the president of the University of the Commonwealth Caribbean, so UCC. And thank you for this, again, this opportunity to be here with everyone that's here. And of course, the faculty and staff, as we dive more into this, will further elaborate. And thank you, President, for having us here.
Ladies and gentlemen, all, it is my pleasure indeed to be here with you and to bring greetings from the University of the Commonwealth Caribbean. I'd like to acknowledge our special guests and organizers, Mr. Otis Osborne, Chairman of the Internet Society Jamaica chapter, and head of the IT department here at UCC, Mr. Tyrone Anderson, Senior Director, Information and Communication Technology, Division of the Ministry of Education and Youth, Ms. Benita Aiken, teacher at Emmanuel Christian Academy, Ms. Natalie Rose, President of ISOC Jamaica, Ms. Claudine Coley, CEO and founder of Tech for Gospel Global, British Saraf, CEO and co-founder of Ed3DAO, Mr. Martin Perlmutter, President, Interactive Multisensory Learning Institute, other specially invited guests and conference participants, or deans and other academic leaders, administrators, technical staff, ladies and gentlemen, all. I greet you well, and I welcome you to the University of the Commonwealth Caribbean for this very important and engaging discussion on technology, education, technology, EdTech communities, ReImagined, innovations in education. I am happy to see that we are all seeking to move forward collectively as we chart the course ahead for new technologies, not only locally, but internationally. I always describe myself as a technology migrant, as opposed to the new generation who are technology natives. Because, in a sense, without dating myself, I am from the era when you didn't have cell phones. Many persons cannot imagine that era when you didn't have cell phones. I remember when the first cell phones came to Jamaica, they used to call them the what? The fridge. But now we have virtually a large computer in our hands. Back in the day, the computer was something very novel. When we were moving from typewriters to word processors and so on, it was a big thing. But now we are moving further apace. And it is good that you are seeking to navigate the changes together. Because the truth is, technologies are emerging. And as they emerge, we have to grow with the technologies and follow a pace. Otherwise, we will be left behind. I note that this seminar aims to explore the transformative impact of AI and Web3 technologies on the education sector, with a focus on creating a more inclusive, equitable, and collaborative future in learning by reimagining community engagement and integrating emerging technologies in teaching and learning. In addition, the theme supports our own organizational goals to empower educators and learners through integrative, innovative technologies into the education space. And along this line, I just want to pause to take a note of a few of the very significant developments in technology and how they are affecting the way we learn. The integration of artificial intelligence allows for the personalization of learning paths tailored to individual needs and adaptive learning platforms that allows for persons to adjust the pace and style for each student. And that's very important. That's one. Secondly, we note the massive amount of information that is available now through various ebooks, images, videos, etc. Of course, there are organized platforms such as the massive open online courses, MOOCs, Khan Academy podcasts, traditional online degree programs, and more. Access is being widened. Access to education by virtue of increases or improvements in technology. Another thing that technology is seeking to do is to revolutionize the way we communicate and collaborate. No longer are we bound to one physical space. So, for example, there are many persons who are here with us right now, and there are many online. But as one writer gives an example, a student somewhere in Scotland, in a rural community, can actually join a classroom live in Africa, where scientists may be on an expedition exploring live and feeding to them information. Not only that, it allows for interactions between students from diverse learning environments and spaces. We now have virtual and augmented reality tools that are transforming the education space. And of course, not to forget the various discussion forums that exist that allow for students to interact more freely and to share their own experiences. Accessibility through tools that allow for assistive learning, speech to text, language translation, customizable interfaces, and others. All of these are new things that we have been utilizing over the last few years more and more. But as you have heard, AI and Web3 are gearing up to revolutionize learning even at a faster pace. And so I just want to say in closing that I want to thank the organizers of this forum because it provides for inclusion, which is one of the cornerstones of education. Because education is not just about what we can unearth for ourselves. It is about what we can share that will allow others to learn likewise. And let us never forget that with the development of artificial intelligence, we need to strengthen human intelligence as well. Because ultimately, it is our capacity to understand that will allow us not only to learn, but to adjust and navigate to the new dynamics of this technology era. Once again, ladies and gentlemen, I thank you all, and I look forward to you having a wonderful experience from what will be shared with you by our expert panelists and presenters. Thank you very much.
Up next, we'll be having Miss Claudine Coley, who is the organizer of this wonderful event that we're having and many others, but also she is the CEO and founder of Tech for Gospel. And if it were not for Web3 and our crossing paths within this wonderful space, we wouldn't have this opportunity to share the stage. So I'm just excited to introduce you and have you share your enthusiasm and excitement for this space as to why we're here.
Thank you, thank you, thank you so much. Thank you so much. Woo! Are you learning anything new? Okay, all right. Wrong question. Good morning, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much for coming. Thank you for taking this opportunity to learn about a space that I discovered. I discovered AI, which quite a number of you are familiar with. And I discovered Web3. Web3, I've been fascinated by the space, blockchain, all of that. And I came home and last year and started looking around and wondering, why is the discussion not happening? Why is it not being discussed openly for you to be my Jamaican family to be a part of the discussion and a part of building in this space? So it just gives me a great feeling to actually be here today to let you know that open your eyes, open your ears, learn something new. Have any questions? Ask questions. Do not feel as if, well, then you are being left behind. You are actually you're actually in the midst of making sure that we are a part of what is being developed on the blockchain and in the space as it relates to new technology. It is my greatest pleasure to tell you that we are going to be making changes. The world is going to change, and education is going to be part of that change. If we go to school to get a skill in order to go to work. And with education, the fact that we have to do this is the process, we make sure at the end of the day that education is going to affect the future of work. It is going to affect the future of learning. It is going to affect the future of community. And so this is the start of it. And I want you to just be a part and be comfortable to be a part of the global change. Welcome, welcome, everyone. And thank you. Thank you so much for taking this opportunity to register and to come and to learn something new. I am deeply grateful. Thank you.
Okay. So, as I said, if it were not for Web3, first and foremost, I wouldn't even be here having this conversation. I would not have met so many wonderful people. And what we're going to go forward, all these people, before we get into the discussion and so forth, you'll see exactly why we are excited about these things. But at this time, we do have a few things that we would like to give away, a few prizes that we would award for various people that have been participating and so forth for being here. So at this time, we would distribute a few of those. And while they're coming up, as the person who's calling up everybody, I didn't even introduce myself. My name is Taj, digitally known as Tropic Vibes. Those of you that are streaming and looking at this from Web3, you do know me as Tropic Vibes. It's the same guy that's usually behind countless spaces and streams and so forth. Now we're here in Jamaica at UCC doing this live. So here we go.
Good afternoon, good afternoon. Well, as Mrs. Coley come up here and say, who have the understanding, and I was the one who thought, no. All right. To tell you the truth, I really don't have no understanding about the Web3. So I'm Venice Morrison, excuse my manners, I'm Venice Morrison, the director for T4G. Okay? When my sister was abroad, she donated and we have this foundation and we go ahead. But from she come out, she start talking about this Web3, whatever, and I say, what she talking about? I mean, not even know about what she talking about. Those who in here who don't know what she's talking about, let us see and I mean, I'm one of them. Right? And see, we don't understand, we just don't understand, don't it? Yeah, we come here to learn. So we come here to hear what them have to say and learn, and she the one for ask all of the questions them. Not because me not one of the shirt, me don't know nothing about it. Anyway, the first person that was here this morning and come inside, I come in here and see I feel about 5 persons. Can I see the hand of the first person that were in this room this morning? All right, you got a gift. You can come for your gift. All right, both of you come. The both of you come. I have a gift for the both of you. Okay? No, you're not in trouble. Give me a t-shirt on the bottom. All right, they can't give me that. Give me a next one. Anything. All right, the first person come get the liquor fan. And the second person get a t-shirt. All right? So I'll be just giving out a little gifts as we go along. You will see me now and then coming up. I try to understand, but you know, yeah, you're welcome, darling, and thanks for coming. Okay, darling? Me like early bird, you know, so I forget early bird them something, yeah? Yes, I love the early bird. Oh. And thank you for coming out early. Your ear is a keyring too. You're welcome, darling. All right? More prize to give out? I would just have to. All right, come, darling, your time. You see me backing up you.
All right. So, you know, Jamaicans are not known for being typically early for things. But when it comes to Web3 and AI, even though you might feel, all right, you have no idea what's going on, but you're early for this one, and it's definitely the time to be in it. Now, you'll hear some of the numbers and things later on that might shock you as to how long it has been, but you're still very early. That's a common thing that we say within the community, because once you get in the community, honestly, it just opens up the door. And without community, honestly, Web3 would not even exist. But AI, Web3, everything, once you're in, just know you're early and you can build a future together. But next person that we do have coming forward will be here to give us a message, and that would be Mr. Tyrone Anderson, the Senior Director of Information and Communications Technology, or ITC, from the Division of Ministry of Education and Youth.
Thank you very much, moderator. Good afternoon to you all. Good afternoon, everyone. So I'm here to bring you a message this afternoon on behalf of our Honorable Minister, Minister Favour Williams, Minister of Education, Youth, and Minister of Education and Youth. I'm so sorry. All right. So first of all, please allow me to apologize for our minister. She's unavoidably absent at this time, at this very important conference, rather. She was previously booked for another event taking place out of town, but she sends her sincere wishes for a successful event and looks forward to receiving the updates we have and the recent resolutions arrived at this special conference here this afternoon. Yes? So with that being said, what a remarkable moment it is to deliver this key address at the significant event, the second annual Artificial Intelligence and Web3 Pedagogy Conference. So I'm deeply honored to be part of this transformative initiative where education meets technology in the most inspiring and impactful way. This afternoon in this space, we are not just discussing the tools of the future, we are actively shaping the future of education here and now. So as we come together in this unfolding narrative of education, where technology is no longer a separate entity, but a seamless partner to our mission, we find ourselves standing at the forefront of a transformative era. What excites me the most about this conference is that it is not just about cutting-edge technology. Rather, it's about the profound connection between educators and their noble mission to shape young minds, foster curiosity, and ignite the flame of long life learning. This AI and Web3 pedagogy event is a celebration of this connection. This isn't just a gathering to showcase technological advancement or boast about the latest innovations. No, it is far more meaningful than that. It's a place where technology meets humanity, where we recognize the critical importance of compassion, understanding, and the magic that happens in a classroom when a teacher and student connects. Ladies and gentlemen, this conference introduces to us specialized platforms designed to bridge the gap between tradition and technology. But as we take this leap, we are not discarding the foundational values that define education, the warmth of human understanding, the personal touch of a dedicated teacher, and the lifelong mentorship that extends far beyond the four walls of a classroom. Today's educators are not just facilitators of knowledge, they are the navigators of a world transformed by artificial intelligence and Web3 technologies. These emerging fields are revolutionizing the way we think, learn, and interact, and it is vital that we as educators evolve with these changes while staying true to the core principles of teaching. The integration of AI, adaptive technology, and Web3 frameworks into our classrooms doesn't just improve efficiency, it redefines our ability to reach every student, to inspire curiosity, and to cultivate critical competencies for a world that demands agility, innovation, and resilience. As we stand on the cusp of this transformation, it is important to reflect on the vision of the Ministry of Education and Youth. We are committed to embracing artificial intelligence and adaptive technology, not just as tools, but as partners in education that allows us to personalize learning, improve accessibility, and create inclusive classrooms for every student, regardless of their abilities or background. In fact, our ministry has already made significant strides in integrating AI into our education system. We have developed draft policy guidelines for the use of AI in schools and have embarked on extensive training initiatives. Teachers, school leaders, and even students are being equipped to harness the power of AI to optimize their workflows and enhance their lesson planning. Allow me to share some of the initiatives that we have implemented so far. We have begun the training of teachers in AI integration for teaching and learning. We are training school leaders on using AI to streamline administrative processes. AI is being integrated into our workflows to produce audio-visual resources that can support students' learning in innovative ways. We've adopted inclusive STEAM courses that focus on the use of assistive technologies, ensuring that our teachers can support diverse learners, promoting an environment where no child is left behind. And in collaboration with UNICEF and Book Fusion, we've implemented accessible digital textbooks for students with varying learning needs, making education accessible and engaging for all. These initiatives are designed to support both educators and students. But let's not forget that technology alone cannot solve our challenges. The key lies in creating an ecosystem where technology complements and enhances the human connection between students and teachers. At the heart of this transformation is the need to maintain the warmth and empathy that defines the educational experience. AI and Web3 are powerful tools, but they are just that, tools. They are here to support us in fostering environments where every student feels valued, supported, and inspired. It is this human connection that truly unlocks a child's potential. And this is what excites me most about this conference. It was crafted by educators for educators. And it goes beyond the conventional. Yes, we are discussing advancements in AI, blockchain technology, and decentralized learning systems. But more than that, we are creating spaces where the magic of human connection is felt and celebrated. In real life, educational conferences, workshops, and seminars like this are special. They are not just about the dissemination of information. They are about collaboration, shared purpose, and mutual support. As we engage in these conversations, we are not just introducing new technologies into classrooms. We are building an education system that is responsive to the needs of both students and educators. Ladies and gentlemen, we look ahead. The opportunities for AI and adaptive technology in our classrooms are endless. These technologies allow us to personalize learning, ensuring that students move at their own pace and receive the support they need. AI-powered adaptive learning platforms can tailor content to meet the unique needs of each learner, making education more engaging and effective. For students with disabilities, AI-powered tools like speech-to-text or text-to-speech software are breaking down barriers and opening doors to inclusivity and equity. Imagine a future where every student, regardless of their ability, can access the same high-quality education. Now, that's a future we are building. We are transforming education for national development. Teachers, too, stand to benefit immensely from artificial intelligence. Administrative tasks can be automated, freeing up valuable time for educators to focus on what matters most, engaging with their students and fostering a love for learning. Intelligent content creation tools can help teachers develop lesson plans that are not only engaging, but also adaptive to the needs of their students. We are also exploring the potential of AI to support data-driven decision-making by analyzing student data and performances. AI can provide insights into learning outcomes, helping us identify areas where we can improve and empowering the resources and ensuring rather that the resources are allocated where they are most needed. To fully leverage the power of AI and adaptive technology, we must continue to support our educators. Comprehensive training programs are essential to ensure that teachers have the skills and knowledge to effectively use these tools in their classrooms. Our connectivity and technology projects will ensure that schools across Jamaica have reliable internet access and the necessary hardware to support AI-powered applications. We are also in the process of integrating artificial intelligence and adaptive technology into our curriculum, ensuring that students are prepared for the digital age. Establishing clear policies and guidelines for the use of AI in education is also a top priority of the Ministry of Education and Youth, as we must address critical issues such as data privacy, equity, and accessibility. So, in our call to action, ladies and gentlemen, I am filled with hope and excitement for the future of education in Jamaica. The path ahead is full of possibilities, and with you, and with your help and support, we can ensure that our education system evolves to meet the demands of this new era. I call on each of you to embrace the opportunities before us. Let us continue to foster environments where every student feels valued, where teachers are supported, and where technology and tradition work hand in hand to create a brighter future, which incidentally is the tagline for transforming education for national development, or trend as you all know it. So in closing, I want to thank all the organizers, educators, and innovators who made this conference possible. Your passion and dedication to advancing education through the power of AI and Web3 technologies are truly inspiring. Together, we are shaping a future where education is not only more effective, but also more inclusive, more compassionate, and more connected. Thank you, and I look forward to the exciting journey that lies ahead. Thank you.
Okay. So next we will be having Ms. Claudine come back up too. We're going to introduce a very passionate person about this in terms of education, and it's best to have someone that's an educator that's equally as passionate about this technology and the opportunities that are here to introduce her. So at this time, I'm Ms. Claudine.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Online, we have a speaker that is a champion for education and new technology. British Saraf is a co-founder and CEO of Ed3DAO, a nonprofit that helps educators learn about emerging technology with a focus on AI and Web3. Ritti started her career as a teacher for America. She was a teacher in Brooklyn. She has served as a professor, a dean, and a director in public, private, and charter schools, both locally and internationally across K-12 and higher education. She currently serves in the advisory roles at XPRIZE, Full Steam, Forward, and MI Primer Bitcoin. Ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together and welcome virtually Vritti Saraf.
Hi, everyone. It's so wonderful to be here. For the folks that are awesome, I'm so glad you can see my screen. Thank you for having me. It's been such an inspiring morning. I am so impressed to see how much progress Jamaica has made in incorporating AI into its education system. Hearing the examples of incorporating AI into teaching and learning has been really wonderful. And I'm so glad that you all are taking a step towards the future in order to get your teachers and your students ready for this. So to start off the seminar, I wanted to provide just a little bit of context for what we're actually going to talk about today and give you a little bit of a high-level understanding of what generative AI and what Web3 are, and then I'll pass it off to the rest of the presenters so that you can get really deep into the conversation. So before we start, I'm Ree Saraf, as Claudine mentioned, who, by the way, is part of our community, and she's the one who brought us to this stage, so we really thank her for her organization of this event, as well as bringing Ed3 DAO into the fold. We're a nonprofit, and we help educators learn about emerging technologies. We focus on AI and Web3, and our goal is really to have purposeful integration of technology into the classroom. Sometimes these technologies can be really shiny tools that have not a lot of purpose, and sometimes they are not actually helping educators or students. And so what we want to do is we want to make sure that when we integrate technology into our classrooms, we're doing it in a way that is really based on pedagogy and sound instruction so that students can continue to learn in a purposeful way and make sure that they're prepared for the future. So if you're an educator, if you're a professor, if you're anyone who considers themselves a teacher of any kind, we encourage you to join our free community so that you can continue learning with us and from us. So I just wanted to really quickly talk about what generative AI is, because that this phrase, generative AI, gets thrown out a lot, and I want to make sure that we're all on the same page before you get started with all your learning. So our bigger sort of context here is something called artificial intelligence, which you've probably heard of. And this is actually the theory and development that machines can perform tasks like humans. So it's very, it's not simple in its action, but it's simple in the explanation, in that artificial intelligence is when machines try to act like humans. Then under that, there's another category called machine learning. And machine learning is a mechanism that allows for machines to learn from data without human intervention. So now artificial intelligence is machines wanting to be like humans, and then machine learning is machine using data without any human intervention. And then another layer into that is called deep learning. And deep learning basically mimics the human brain and basically creates these neural networks that allows you to learn the way that a human brain learns. And that's a really complex topic, because brains are by far the most complicated organ that any living organism has. And so for a machine to be able to emulate what a brain can do is pretty insane, right? And because machines can actually create many different connections between one another and neural connections, there's an unlimited possibility for what we can actually accomplish using deep learning. And then under that is where generative AI is found. And you probably know generative AI through tools like ChatGPT or Gemini or Perplexity or on any of these free tools that are available. But generative AI is the ability to generate new content based on the pre-trained data. Generative AI uses all of the other mechanisms that we've talked about just now in order to really work. And it uses neural networks and connections to be able to generate data. And the way that generative AI works is very much like a human brain. It receives data from a data set. So right now it's receiving data from the internet. It's receiving data from when you interact with it on ChatGPT or whatever app you use. And then it transforms that information and analyzes it. And then it connects that information using patterns, and it predicts what could happen next. And then finally, it generates new content. The content that's generated seems like it's brand new, but it's actually just sort of a remixing of the content that it's gotten through this cycle. And the more information it receives, the stronger the feedback loop is, and the stronger the model becomes, and the more accurate and reliable it is. And an example of that is if you ever used any of these AI tools a year ago, they were way worse than they are today. They are much more accurate today. They're much more reliable today because they're using so much data from millions of people around the world to basically make themselves stronger. So today, all of our AI tools are the worst they're ever going to be because they're only going to continue improving and getting better. Now, what's really important here is we need to understand what is the difference between generative AI and what generative AI can do versus what a human can do. This is really going to be an important thing for us as students, as educators, as humans to understand, because if we don't understand what our capabilities and our strengths are as a human, then we are not going to be able to AI that actually helps us as humans, right? We don't want AI to take over all of our functions. We don't want AI to replace what we're doing. We want AI to augment and supplement what we're doing. And so if educators in here know the framework called Bloom's taxonomy, it's basically a cognitive leveling of different activities and the way that people think. There are different levels to how people actually consume information. The very bottom level is remembering something, then understanding something, then applying that concept, then analyzing, then evaluating, and creating is the very top, which is the most complex level of cognitive development. And what's important to understand here, and I'm not going to go too deep into it because we don't have a lot of time, is that there are some things AI is much better at doing than humans, like remembering things. Like AI can remember 1,000 times more than a human can. But a human is much better at understanding something than AI. Humans make meaning using their emotions, their context, their environment, everything around them. Whereas AI can only make meaning using the data set that they have. And so it's really important to understand that humans will always make better meaning of something and meaning of something in many different contexts with many different sensory levels than AI can. And so it's really important that humans rely on their own judgment over machines. Because the truth is that if you're an educator or if you're a student, AI will make a black and white judgment, right? Whereas humans will be able to use your emotions to be able to make a judgment that is multifaceted. And so that's a really, really important thing to remember. And there's an author who wrote a book called AI Superpowers. Highly recommend you read it, called Kai-Fu Lee. He said, AI will do the analytical thinking while humans will wrap that analysis in warmth and compassion. That's a really important thing to remember because our society is going to function through the interaction of emerging technologies like AI and Web3, but it will also thrive and succeed because of the human compassion that we all have. Now, how does this relate to Web3? Web3 is this whole other concept. So I wanted to go really quickly into what Web3 is. So Web3 is the evolution of the internet. So Web 1 was when the web first started, when there were static websites and all you could do was read something or consume something. You couldn't really contribute to it. Web 2 is the bulk of what we have experienced in our generation, where we see social websites, we see, Facebooks and Instagrams and all of that. And there's a lot of creation. We can contribute to our own blogs or our web or create our websites of our own or contribute to Twitter or whatever it is. So there's a lot of creation and curation involved. But with Web 2, what's different about Web 2 and Web 1 is that in Web 2, our data is owned by a lot of these companies. So Google, Facebook, all of these companies own our data. We do not own our own data because they are actually able to offer us free services by taking our data and then giving us ads. Now, what's the different about Web3, and Web3 isn't here yet, by the way. What's different about Web3 is that we want an internet that is decentralized and has data sovereignty. What that means is that we would get to own our own data. We would get to decide how we want to engage with the internet, and everybody would have access to the internet. And we're not quite there yet, right? We're not at a place where everybody on the planet has access to the internet or data is totally decentralized or the internet is decentralized. But there are mechanisms that are enabling us to get there. And that's where artificial intelligence comes in. So when you think about what is made up of Web3, what makes up Web3, that includes artificial intelligence. So artificial intelligence has a place in Web3 in making sure that we're creating adaptive systems that will allow us to actually bring Web3 about. Connectivity and ubiquity. So this, the Web3 sort of ideal is that everybody is connected to the internet. Everybody has access. Data ownership and decentralization, meaning there are no monopolies that are actually, owning your data or that are the only place that you can access social media. There are many different companies, many different individuals, many different ways of engaging, and you get to own your own data and you decide what to do with it. And then the last one is digitally immersive experiences. So you being able to actually experience things in virtual spaces and augmented spaces, both through your computer, through headset, through your phone, whatever it is. So you'd be able to sort of see another person that is across the world, but sitting right next to you as an augmented reality experience. So those are the features of what makes up Web3. Now, the big question here is, these technologies are emerging very fast, and these technologies are moving very fast. In fact, last year, investors and corporations spent $3.6 billion on Web3 and $189 billion on AI. So we know that there are a lot of people investing in all of these technologies, and the workforce is going to be taken over by all of these technologies. And so the question isn't, are you ready? The question is, how are you getting ready? Because you won't have a choice. You will have to get ready for this if you want to be able to thrive as a citizen in this world, right? And so that is, what I want you to think about, which is how are you preparing yourself to understand Web3 and AI? And it's so amazing that you guys are here today, because this is definitely maybe not the first step, but a step in learning about all of these technologies. And again, if you are an educator or somebody who is a teacher or anybody that identifies as an educator, we encourage you to access the resources that we have at Ed3DAO. We've got an open source global AI events bank. We've got a global community reimagining AI and Web3. And then we also have free access to a lot of our courses where we teach educators how to use AI using pedagogy that is research-based, including project-based learning, universal design for learning, restorative justice, classroom management, all of that. So we'd love for you to be a part of our community, and thank you so much for having me. I hope that was a slight, a primer on what you're about to dive into today. And again, thank you to Claudine for bringing us aboard, and thank you to all the organizers for having us. Thank you.
Okay. So, have we learned something yet? Amen. Right. So, next we'll be having some remarks from Martin Perlmutter, who is the Senior Director of Information and He is the President of Interactive Multisensory Learning Institute. And he will be giving some remarks, and then after that, we'll have a break before the introduction of our panel discussion.
Good day. I'm grateful to Claudine Collet for bringing us together. Delightful to hear Vriti's remarks. She is a visionary. I am a practical visionary, I believe, and I applaud our over-the-horizon look at this new version of the web that we indeed are entering. The AI augmented, sovereign, you own your information. We can only pray for that. That's coming. Let me look back a little bit and describe some of the work that we've done insofar as it might inspire or instruct some of your efforts. My enterprise, this nonprofit set up in Oakland, California, interactive multisensory learning. When we began, people had no idea what this multisensory thing was. And if you look up interactive multisensory learning, the subject matter on Google, you'll find a lot of citations now. In 1999, people looked at us and said, what the heck is multisensory? What does that mean? We know how people learn. They read books and we give them lectures and we pour teacups of information into their head, and that's learning. But no, it isn't, as we all know. Learning is, as they say these days, socially constructed, that we have to interact with one another. And first of all, we got to engage the kids, and I've been in a lot of classrooms where kids were not engaged. And so how do we engage them first? And one of the things we proposed from the very beginning was, well, let's use games. They seem to be really enthusiastic about games in general. This is before, the PlayStation 2 and, Xbox and so on. And we began developing game experiences. We actually created one about 8 years ago that was on Google Play and in the Apple Store called Tangram Jam. I will try to get this to Claudine so she can distribute it to you in the form of code that you can play with. Basically, we noticed that when we lost girls in mathematics, we lost them around fourth grade. And what happens in fourth grade that's really crucial is fractions, you know? And if you don't get fractions, you know, what is 1/4 plus 3/8? Good luck with that, by the way. It's 5/8. But you're lost. You can't do proportions. You can't proceed to algebra, and you're done with your mathematics learning. And that is important, whatever happens with AI and whatever happens with, you know, sovereign data. We have to have a literate generation that can literally write. I mean, in America, they've given up on cursive writing in the schools. We'll have to review that. And that is mathematically literate. You have to know certain things in order to function in this world. I don't care what the augmenting additional intelligence is. If somebody tells you that they have a fabulous deal for you and it's only got 20% interest, you should have some understanding of what a cataclysm that'll be for you. And that's a proportion. That's 1/5. That's 20%. That's a big deal. So you get my point about mathematical literacy. Girls, in particular, were dislodged by fractions. So we went after fractions and created a game called Tangram Jam. And it had music. And in fact, the music had artificial intelligence in it. And this was developed 10 years ago. If you were playing the game, which had graphic representations of fractions, you were adding them up to create a whole on the screen. And you were sort of falling off. The music, which you would choose one of 6 different styles: classical, hip hop, jazz, rock, and it would start dropping out tracks, pieces of the music, until in the end, if you were really blowing it, it would just be a click track, you know, a little rhythm track. So artificial intelligence was embedded in the audio there. We had some success with creating this game, although I do think we could elaborate it further, and I'd love to invite the participants in this discussion to share with us the doing of that. And I think Riti would assist us in building a DAO where we could come together and collaborate on further elaboration of that code. We also developed something that I think would be of great interest to 6th, 7th, and 8th grade math teachers, which is using base blocks, these very simple things that begin with a 1 centimeter cube representing the unit 1, and then a series of more complex shapes that represent number bases. Now, what's a number base? To a computer, everything we say in the way of a number is immediately converted into binary. What's that? That's base 2. In base 2, everything is 0s and 1s. There's no 2. Just as there's no 10 in the units column in our number system, our decimal number system based on our 10. We challenge kids using these base blocks to convert, to translate a number like a computer does. Take the number, common number 13, and show me what that is in decimal. Show me how a computer understands what the number 13 is. And we say to the kids, when we drop these base blocks on a table, we say, and the only rule is you can't talk, you can't take, you have to share the blocks, and you have to use the smallest number of blocks possible to represent that number. The smallest number of blocks to represent the number 13 would be 1/8, which is a cube, and 1/4, which is a square, and 1 unit. So to a computer, the number 13 is 111. And it has to go to a lookup table, as it's called, to go back to 13 and talk to us so we can understand. Well, we can make it so readily so that a child with these base blocks understands. This is called number theory. It's how you build numbers. You know, the Mayans didn't use a 10-base system, they used a 13-base system. And the Egyptians had another system. And computers have another system. And all of these have a common core. And if you can grasp that core, and you literally grasp these models in your hand, then you're playing with exponents. You're actually physically playing with, well, 2 squared is a square. It's a square. And 2 cubed is, you won't believe this, but a cube. And the sequence of all numbers and all number bases goes from a cube, 1 centimeter cubed, to a stack, which is exactly how many units are in this base, whatever it is. If it's 2, it's too tall. If it's 4, it's bigger. And then there's a cube. And then the sequence repeats again and again in all number bases. It's quite magical. And a 3rd grader can look at this and go, whoa. And a 6th grader can understand exactly how to use that in order to do more complicated equations that involve exponents, x squared plus x, that stuff. My point, we have developed and are happy to share tools, both interactive digital tools, games, and physical objects, and games that represent those physical objects to explain the core roadblocks to mastering mathematics, fractions, exponents, the meaning of numbers so that you can understand number operations. How do you understand number operations if you don't understand what numbers are made of? And algebra, which is just generalized arithmetic. We can take kids from 1 + 1 through quadratic equations using any of a number of ways of representing the core ideas. Physical models, interactive games, graphic representations, sound, and that's what we mean by multisensory learning. Now, none of this depends on the magic that Veriti was talking about. Sovereign data, DAOs, the future of AI-assisted learning. All of it can be done today using wood and really simple. You can cut out our tangram jams and lay them on a table. And there's something quite wonderful about starting with the ground beneath our feet. One last thing, speaking of the ground beneath our feet, Geometry 2 is a tricky thing to get kids into, as we all know, in 7th, 8th, 9th grade. So we developed something that I call sand table geometry. Basically, we let kids do exactly what Euclid did. He didn't have much in the way of computers or abacuses, and what he had was dirt and string and what you call rounders and ways of measuring angles. Using just scribing in dirt and putting a string very accurately and carefully into the scribe, and then taking the string out and measuring its length, and then having noted where the center of that circle was, run a string through the center of the circle, carefully cut it, and measure that length through the center of the circle, the diameter, and then divide the diameter into the circle that you had done with string around it. Guess what you come up with? Pi. And I've seen kids come out with 3.14 for measuring string in an Oakland classroom, and also in a classroom with literally dirt floors in India. I've seen it happen. And the trick, pedagogically, the trick for us as instructors is to not do what those Indian teachers did as they leaned behind those kids and said, "Oh, don't, wait, that's wrong." Let the kids go. Let them explore. They'll find it. They'll find it. And so to sum up, our job as educators is to engage our students, is to entertain them enough so they stick with the subject matter, to find sensory and cognitive roads to insight and understanding, and therefore mastery, by meeting them where they are, by noticing who of our learners are auditory learners, who are visual learners, who are the tactile learners, and help to the best possible extent to provide the learning in a flavor that speaks to their brain. Everybody's different. And all learning, in the end, is indeed socially constructed, meaning you validate. The kids will then turn to the other and say, "Hey, did you see that? 13 is 111 in base 2. Did you see that?" Our job is to create clarity, engagement, and wonder, and make them love learning using the tools, whatever the tools are, at our disposal. Of course you could do sand table geometry on an iPad. Why would you? I mean, think of it. An iPad in the end is just a bunch of silica, a bunch of dirt that got melted and then sent to Taiwan and turned into fancy chips that came back and got stuck into another, Sometimes the ground beneath our feet is the answer we're looking for. That's what I got.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. A lot was covered there. Some of it was very technical, but I can simplify it by just saying what he basically said is everything can be summed up in ones and zeros, right? And if you don't believe me, look at any one of your devices. You'll usually see a power button with a circle and a 1. You ever wonder what that means? Why is that 1 and off? Well, the 1 is on, the 0, the circle is off. And really, everything that you see on the internet really is communicated computer to computer with from ones and zeros. Everything, video, colors, text, everything is broken down and processed in a way that we can see it and it makes sense. But the computers are seeing a whole bunch of ones and zeros, and that's how they're sorting through the data. So it's simplified. Everything breaks down to ones and zeros. And that sounded very technical, but that's what the conversation came down to. So at this time, though, what we're going to do right before we have our panel discussion, we're going to give away a few prizes again for those of you that are still here. At this time, we'll have a few more giveaways to give out. And yep.
Quick and fast. Remember I said I never did learn nothing. Me no know nothing about it. Who and me did agree with that? A few persons put up them hands. Yeah, we did agree, so we not learn nothing. So we learn something now on the phone and not pay attention. What you learn? Come here, baby girl. Come here, come teach. Come share with me what you learn. Listen to me. We're all here to learn. All right? And if we not learn, we just not learn. We're in a learning institution, right or wrong? All right? And she said she not learn. Me never learn nothing. But here we know. This is like the Matrix. Who watch the Matrix? Yes. It's like the Matrix. We are going forward in AI. And we want that, so that's why I'm there to learn. All right. You're kind of shy. I know. But here we know. I'm so shy to come. I have a prize for you. I have a prize for all who put up them hand with me and say them no learn and them learn. Can me learn something a while ago, I mean, I share it with you because I know says the Matrix. You agree with me, I'm wrong, I'm right. It's just like the Matrix. You look on it and you see the only power one them when yeah. So it's like the Matrix. So you have to listen. Because it's what he might talk up there, so I have to depend him and I look good to understand what he say, Yeah, I have to look good because the gentleman before talk about back in the time when there was only what kind of phone again? I can't remember. All right. You remember which MP did come and say use one phone and call the next one and say hello. You know, so Mr. Man a fool, but I lie me and tell. Because my phone was broken and I went to the phone shop. And the man have to use one phone, call the next one to find out what happened to my phone. The man did that talk about. Yeah, it's the future. We see people talking about this thing and guess what we say? No, sir, we not even understand, but guess what now? We have to listen and we have to gravitate and we have to put our meaning. We have to put our meaning to it and we have to learn about AI. And AI, because you ever see it, I see AI pop up on my phone and I say, well, then put it on it for the WhatsApp. Me never ask for it and it just pop up. You understand? I have to learn to use it. Yeah, tell me what you learn now, baby girl.
All right. Hi, good afternoon. So I don't exactly remember her name and I don't want to butcher her name. The first speaker that was speaking, she was basically giving a breakdown of what the Web3 AI would be, right? So it's basically something that you can interact with and it acts as if it's a human, right? She gave some pointers. Is it okay if sorry. I took some notes, so one moment. No, it's there. Oh, it was generative AI. That's what she was explaining in terms of, for example, Chat GPT, right? You can just basically text it as if you're texting one of your friends. It has all the information that's needed and it responds accurately than how it was before. So that's what I really get from the breakdown from what she was saying.
Thank you very much, darling. It's wonderful. These are yours. Thank you, darling. Thank you. See it, we learn. Going forward, we learn. It's a learning process. And I have 5 t-shirts. I'm going to give it to the person that, like me, will never understand what I go on and kind of understand now. So they can't come for the tea. Just come for it, darling. 5 person, quick and fast. Nobody coming? All right. I can show it to you. You can sit and I'll come to you. Thank you. Anybody else? All right, I have more t-shirts. I'm going to give it back to the MC. And we come. Remember, we are learning, so we have to just continue learn. And all we know them phone and go like them to learn. Me know me I learn something because this coming like the Matrix. Remember, I said it.
All right. So now I get to step on some toes. No. So, all right. We just saw something was being given away for free, right? She had shirts. Said anybody that wants to come for it, come. And guess what? Nobody came, right? She had to go to them. But here's the thing, right? The future is going to happen with or without you, right? So it's your opportunity. You know, we're in Jamaica. We're a God-fearing country and so forth, right? So what you have to do, you have to go to it, right? So here's the thing. It's going to happen. So don't just sit back and think that Grace Kennedy is going to get an AI department and then the Prime Minister is going to put all these things into place that's going to give everybody jobs in technology. It's not going to happen. So what you have to do is put some legs to what you're doing, right? It's one thing to come to these seminars and to college and so forth, but at the end of the day, look how many people have 50, 60, 100 degrees that they don't do anything with. So what you're going to have to do, the things that you're learning here at the university, the things that you're learning at seminars and all this information is not going to do anything unless you put some legs to it. So the challenge is, right? Don't wait for nice people such as this to come give you the t-shirt because the world is going to move on with or without us. And right now where we're at, we heard just now that Web3 is not even here. The vision is being built, right? So those of you that kick yourself and say, boy, I wish I started a YouTube channel or whatever it was back in the day. Now people are running all over making, that was Web 2, right? You let that miss you. Web 3 is being built right now. So you have the opportunity to just sit here, learn about it, watch everybody blow up big, and wish you took advantage of it. But here we are at this opportunity. So we're going to open up now. We're going to have a panel discussion led by another one of the co-founders of Ed3 DAO. And we're going to have Ms. Claudine again introduce and say what is going on in this session and what will be discussed in this.
Thank you very much. I just want to take this opportunity to introduce to you Dr. Michael Peck, co-founder of Ed3 DAO, Director of Technology and Innovative Learning, and he's one of the top educational technology voices around right now. Dr. Mike Peck is a progressive educator and leader with experience in classroom teaching and technology leadership. Currently, he is the Director of Technology and Innovative Learning at the public school district in the United States of America, where he oversees district-wide technology professional development and cybersecurity initiatives. Dr. Peck is also the co-founder, as I mentioned before, of Ed3 DAO, an organization dedicated to integrating Web3 technologies in education and providing educational opportunities for educators worldwide. This panel that you're going to see interact and discuss, it's a panel that is made up of individuals who are very versed in technology and emerging technologies like Dr. Peck, and also industry professionals in the sense that they are individuals who are in the working environment, as well as we are going to also have a teacher, an elementary teacher. So it is a mixture. And as you can see, we're not just talking about technology from the presenters that you see. We're also looking at ways and means that we can integrate now in our work, in our classroom at all levels. So this discussion, this panel is going to, I think it's an exciting one. I think it's a mixture of the tradition as well as the new. So ladies and gentlemen, help me to welcome to the stage Dr. Mike Peck, who's going to join us virtually, Chanel, who's going to join us as well, and Mrs. Aiken, and Miss Patterson. Put your hands together, Dr. Mike Peck and his team.
Hello, welcome. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much for having me here today. It is a pleasure to be a part of the conversation, and I just genuinely love hearing from and learning alongside folks from all different places. So it's great to hear, what's happening in Jamaica. Of course, very different than the United States, but it's always great to see how different perspectives bring different expertise to the world of education. And so it's a pleasure to be here. I'm excited to be welcoming our panelists today too as well for a conversation on shaping the future of education with AI and Web3. And we have a really incredible lineup of panelists who bring a really diverse set of experiences and backgrounds, ranging from education to technology to creative industries and digital literacy. And today I'd like to explore with everybody how emerging technologies are not only shaping the future of education, but also the communities that support it. And especially, we're in a university atmosphere, and we're talking about education. And so I think it's really important to think about the fact that when we talk about education, it doesn't end when you leave a classroom, right? We're always continually learning, whether it's within the scope of our family life, our social life, our careers. And so at Ed3 DAO, we're very deliberate about talking about educators as anybody who has an interest in teaching others about technology. And so I think the difference in our perspectives help bring different expertise that can really help engage learners across the spectrum of interests and needs. And so our goal today is to, through this conversation, not only unpack the challenges, of which there are some, but also the opportunities and some of the practical applications of these technologies in education, and examine how we can prepare to integrate them into our schools in meaningful ways. And so we have three panelists joining us today. And so I'd like to welcome Miss Campbell, Miss Patterson, and also Mrs. Aiken, who you've heard from earlier. And so maybe I'd like to take a moment or two just to have each panelist just share really quickly, high level, who you are and what it is that you do. And so maybe I'll start with Chanel, and then we can pass it to the folks who are on stage. Tell us a little bit about yourself, and then we'll jump into a couple questions.
Is it noisy in the background? Oh, you hear me? Okay. All right. Hi. I'm an artist. I'm in the Web3 space as well, but I do exhibits and things in the physical. And so I think the first time I did this, I was much more green and didn't have I don't even know if I had a public wallet or whatever the case has been, but I've since gotten a little more advanced, and so I'm here to give my perspective and also to connect with everyone. So thank you.
Thanks so much. Maybe kick it over to Miss Patterson.
Hello. Good day, everyone. Good day, everyone. Okay, so my name is Hanifa Patterson. I work in digital marketing and social media, but I started in this area when Web 2.0 was getting a little popular. That was, at the time for me. So the whole aspect of social media, but I've always been really focused and interested on tech and the future, how it impacts culture, how it impacts us as individuals. And even in my research, I studied that in France. And I was looking at how Facebook affected the digital identity, how it affected culture. And so as AI has come in, it's also relevant in this context. So I'm still in that space, looking at how it affects us individually in the areas of our work, and particularly with young people like students and so forth. So that's where I would like to come in to give, any insight I may have there. Thank you.
All right, good afternoon again, everyone. I am Benita Akin. I am a kindergarten teacher at Emmanuel Christian Academy, but also a facilitator with the Heart NSTA Trust. And so for me, I'm very passionate about education. I'm passionate about how we can integrate technology because we are in the technological era. And so even in class, trying to integrate that in the kids' learning. And so I'm here today to just look at the tradition and how we can integrate it and how the importance it plays as we move forward. Thank you.
Awesome. Thanks so much for your introductions, everybody. And, our panelists are coming from very different backgrounds and they offer some very different expertise. So I wanted to keep the questions sort of high level and, feel free to engage with the questions, panelists, that is, talking about your experiences as educators in your particular domains, because I think that's, whether or not you're in a classroom, learning, like I said, is a continuous part of our life. And so your background in your domain on learning is going to be really important as it pertains to these new emerging technologies. So I'd like to start with just a high level question. And we heard from some of our panelists earlier. President Giles had said earlier that the world is getting smaller through technology. And it's really important for us to kind of grow with technology. And that applies to both education and the rest of our lives. So to our panelists, how do you see education evolving with these new technologies, especially things like we talked about today, whether it's AI, blockchain, or generally Web3 technologies? What kind of shifts are you seeing in terms of teaching and learning? And how might those things impact our students in the future? So I'll open it up to any of our panelists to jump in and start.
All right, let me go first. All right, being in the classroom, and I've been in the classroom for a pretty while now, and as I look at where we're coming from and the children that we have now, even like with this new set I just got in September, I tried something. What I did is that when they're just going on, all over the place, I just turn my TV on and put a song on, and it doesn't matter what they're doing. All of a sudden, they stop, and they're so engrossed in what they're watching. And it's as if they are so caught up in what is on the screen that it doesn't matter what they were doing, it just grabs them. Before, that was not the situation. So you find that with technology, if children are so engrossed in this, we can now use it to get them focused. I teach 4-year-olds, as I said, and at that age, they're not very focused. Their attention span is short. But if you are giving them an activity that they are interacting with on the laptop or even on the smart board, you find that it grabs their attention. They want to learn it. They want to do it. Before that, you would have to find different ways of grabbing their attention. You'd have to make the session shorter. No, they're not moving until they're finished. And not only that, they want to know what to do next. And you hear different ideas coming out. So with technology, I am thinking, or I'm seeing that it can, one, help to expand their attention span, also get them to think and share what they're thinking, and they're also working together, which is usually not the case at that age.
Mike, would you mind repeating the question, please? I'm sorry.
Sure, of course. So the question is, how do you see education evolving with the integration of technologies like AI, blockchain, and Web3, what kind of shifts do you think we'll see in learning for students and for educators?
Okay, well, one thing I see, which is quite evident, is just it's a bit easier in terms of for educators. It's a bit easier, or it presents a potential for them to prepare a bit more easily for their classes, right? So I'll mention an app a little later that I found where you can put in the information as a teacher, as an educator, and it will come out with the complete slides. You can even put in a YouTube video that's based on the topic you're teaching your class, and it will come out with in complete slides for you to make a presentation. And this is great because, as it was mentioned earlier, it can free up the teacher's time. And we see that with there's a lot of administration now that teachers also have to do. And I've been an educator for 14 years as well, so I know I've seen the paperwork increase, and that can help. So we've seen that's something that can happen. As she mentioned, some kids can have better focus. It makes it easier for them to focus. That's also good. However, there's also the negative aspects, I think, which probably don't want to get too deeply in, because I'm sure, Mike, you have some questions along there. But looking at, for even higher level, it can affect creativity in that, as our first Vitri mentioned, AI is built on data that it's basically collecting all the data that we have already put out. So this can affect creativity if the information we're all tapping into is the same information to regurgitate the same things. And at the tertiary level, we are at a university. How is that going to affect plagiarism? I've heard teachers tell me that students have given presentations or given assignments with where it says the AI prompt was there on the paper, right? That the person didn't even have the time to sit down and remove that element out of their paper. So those are some of the concerns that we may see, that yes, AI Web 3.0 is going to bring some great changes, but which just two, I have a long list, but there are going to be other instances that I think, it can become, it can create what I would call intellectual laziness to some extent, especially in high school and, university, if people are just tapping into that. And so teachers as well will have to come up with creative ways in how to identify when you have a class in Jamaica, Mark, there are classes that you have 35 students, 50 students, you give them an assignment. How are you going to tell when out of that 30 or 40 students, how many of them are actually using AI to present an assignment? How are you really going to assess their capacity for what they've learned? And I think those are some of the things we have to consider now in terms of how AI is transforming the educational space.
Awesome. Thanks for sharing. Just a couple of comments on what was shared already. And I spent some time in kindergarten classrooms, and it is very challenging to teach 4 and 5-year-olds. So Ms. Aiken, my hat's off to you for your work in that scene. I think there's some really important things here. Technology, presents an opportunity for us to really engage young children who are now at the point where they're growing up with this technology, right? They're not learning about cell phones for the first time when they're 10, 15, 20 years old. They're seeing them very early on. And so they become a really important part almost of their lives from a very early age. And, what does that do to change the types of students that we see who come into our kindergarten classrooms or our 6th grade classrooms? What does that mean for their engagement? What interests them? And these technologies can provide us an opportunity to engage students in some really new ways. And the one that kind of got me thinking, as Mrs. Aiken, you were saying, I just dropped it in the comments for those who are joining online. It's an AI application called Suno that allows you to use text to create songs. And our kindergarten teachers were using this application to create their own songs that went with the books they were reading in class, or the skills or the behaviors they were trying to teach their students, like walking in a hallway or walking onto the bus or behaving on the bus or behaving in the cafeteria. And I hadn't thought of it as a potential use, but these new technologies give us new tools to be able to engage our learners in some really interesting and new ways. And so, there's a lot of potential for that. But as was said, Ms. Patterson said that, there's a lot of great opportunities here, but there's also some challenges that we see coming down the road. Thinking about what was said earlier, with AI becoming really, really kind of central to a lot of the work that's happening in all sorts of different industries, what do we do to help differentiate humans from AI? How do we keep that human in the loop presence when AI is becoming more powerful and more connected to our world? And so we need to be thinking about how we assess learners, especially if we're thinking about, tests and quizzes. These kinds of things, are not necessarily the types of skills that our learners are going to need when technology like AI can do a lot of that work for them. So we have to be very thoughtful about how we engage these new technologies in our classrooms. And so I wanted to maybe turn to, we will get to some challenges. I'd like to get to that question again later on here, but I wanted to turn to some, practical applications. So my next question for our panelists today are what are some of the promising applications that you're seeing coming from Web3 or AI in education? And how do you think that will change education in the next 5 to 10 years? And maybe I'd like to start, Chanel, I don't know if you're able to jump in here. I'd love to hear from you and your perspective of how AI and or Web3 is playing a part in the creative arts, since that's like your domain of expertise. How do you see that playing a part, in the future of the creative arts?
Can you hear me? Okay. So I don't personally use AI just yet in my art, but I see the potential in it. And what I'm most appreciative of since I've been operating in the Web3 space is, in my experience with traditional artists, there tends to be a mindset of scarcity and fear, and anything new is like, I don't want any parts of that, and like this isn't really art, and this is art, and what is art, and this whole back and forth that I think is really semantics when it comes down to it, because the technology is here regardless, and it doesn't. I believe that when it comes to something like art, anything that any of us create with our hands is proprietary. I think AI could make a cool thing, and I don't think that it competes with something that comes off the top of my head and I create with my own hands. Although it can make something comparable, or I could even integrate it into something that I created to make the things that I create, have movement, or things that maybe would be more difficult for me to do just with my hand on a piece of paper or on a wall. So for me, something like AI and Web3 even are things that we can integrate and add to the things that we are already doing, to take away things, as they said, administrative things that we don't necessarily enjoy doing, tasks that are a bit boring, mundane, or even just, as I just said too, like things that we literally wouldn't be able to do without the addition of AI. I think it's cool, having been in the Web3 space, that artists are really open-minded and really interested in integrating it and using it to create art, and just not seeing it as a threat to what they create and what they're able to create. I hope that answers the question.
I love the view that, and this was sort of coming through that in some of the comments online and some of the things said before, is that AI is not going to replace humans. But AI plus humans can lead to better outcomes. And I think that kind of shone through what you were saying. It's, really, we have to think of it as a tool. AI is not like the end result. It's a tool to get jobs done. And so I really appreciate that viewpoint.
Yeah, I also want to add, I don't think I fully mentioned Web3 as much, but this one, okay. The Web3 space, specifically NFTs, I didn't get to touch on that part. So currently, I use NFTs as this again, and as an add-on, it's not something like I personally am not quitting everything and selling everything and jumping into NFTs as a sole thing. However, I do see it as something that is good to add to me getting attention and collectors who are interested in putting physical things in their homes in the future as well. So it's this thing that, yes, someone can purchase an NFT, they can purchase my NFTs as a physical, but they can also just find out about me through the NFT space and then purchase my, hand-drawn physical things as well. So it's meant, these things I see are meant to complement the real world, because NFTs, all these things are great, but people are still going to be in their real house with their real friends, and they have real walls that they want to put things on. So yeah, I think it's all cool, and I'm excited. I'm just excited at the fact that there is a community within the art world that accepts and understands and wants to get more information on the advancements in technology, and that the idea of it being a threat is just, it's more of a distant noise. Like when I hear certain things, I don't even need to focus on it, because there's so many people that are excited about it.
And so just like for our audience, if you're learning about Web3 technologies for the first time, NFTs are sort of they're a digital asset, a unique digital asset. So this might be like if you've ever seen or heard of baseball cards. They're physical cards that you hold, and they're unique, and there's only so many of them, and they are, they may have a value attached to them, and they have pictures and statistics on them. In the case of what Chanel was talking about, an NFT is a digital asset. So it's almost like a digital baseball card, but it could be all sorts of things. It could be a picture, it could be text, it could be video, it could be, anything, as long as it's in a digital format. And so maybe one more follow-up question, Chanel, if that's okay. Can you talk a little bit about how putting your art into like the digital space has like changed your life or your career or your view of creativity because of the capability to use this new digital technology? Like what's the value add to you as an artist to be able to use these like digital tools? And the NFTs are already here, so we're not talking 5 to 10 years, they're here. So like how has that like changed the way that you approach your art?
For me, and maybe for other, I'm sure for other artists, but specifically for me, having the art be on the blockchain in any format. Okay, so just backtrack. When you sell art and you're selling something that's a one-of-one, you will offer your collector a certificate of authenticity, which is like kind of your backing that this is the official one-of-one piece or whatever the case is. And having art on the blockchain, again, can operate as this complement to physical, which is what got me interested initially, that I could say, hey, I'm going to sell you this physical piece, and I can make it as a one-of-one NFT and send you that. And that NFT is like basically the certificate of authenticity on the blockchain for the physical piece that you purchased. So it's complementing that. And or you could just have, NFTs and they're on the blockchain, and maybe there is no physical, or you do whatever the case is. The point is that it's tracked somewhere, and with respect to how the blockchain and the whole ecosystem works, we're all agreeing that this thing is authentic. So it's not something that we need to bicker about, or you can't find the piece of paper here and all that stuff. Like, it's verified somewhere that everyone acknowledges. I don't know if that answered everything, but
yeah, no, I think that's, and you bring up a really, really important point, and I'll kick it over to our panelists on stage in a moment for the same question about real world applications momentarily. But I think there's something really important, and that is that, when we talk about AI is using all sorts of data that's just kind of out there on the web. And it just uses all the data that they can get their hands on to allow these AI models to create things. The thing is that, that data belongs to somebody. It was written by a journalist, a blogger, or the art was created by an artist somewhere. And unfortunately, we have a problem with these AI models taking all this data, not attributing it back to the people who actually created them in the first place. And so one of the things I wanted to point out is blockchain can allow us to ensure authenticity of ownership, whether it's a book or a video or a picture, whatever the case might be. And with AI getting increasingly good at creating all sorts of things, whether it's text or images, it's going to be important for us to figure out ways that we can ensure authenticity of ownership and ensure that we know who created something is the one who indeed created it. Because there's a lot of conversations around things like fake pictures, deep fakes, or fake videos. It's really important that we find ways to ensure that we protect our intellectual property. And so as an artist, I think that's a really important part of it, but I think it applies to all of us in a world where AI is going to become more important. So thanks for sharing that piece. For either Ms. Patterson or Mrs. Aiken, I'd love to hear from either or both of you if you want to jump in. Like, what are some of the promising applications of new technologies, whether it's Web3 or AI? Of those technologies, what do you think may have an impact on education in the next 5 to 10 years?
Okay, so this is not something that I've seen that they use it in some schools. One app I can think of, I saw one recently. It's called EduAid, and that's the one that gives you, as I mentioned, it gives you information on how to make it makes the prompts for you, the slides for you. But a tip for everyone, the educators here, listen, TikTok is great for information. I get educated from TikTok. I don't go on TikTok to just joke. So there are educators there who this is their space as well, and they will give you information on some of these interesting tools that Mark is asking about. One I saw was EduAid. One I saw was Perplexity.ai. So these are just two you can check out. One that I use is Duolingo, and Mark probably know it, but does anybody know Duolingo? Now it is using AI. I am now on day 176. Woohoo! Of Duolingo, right? And what's great about it is that it has kept me going because it adjusts to me daily. That's the AI aspect of it, right? It is what he mentioned. This AI is allowing to assess me where I am. It is giving me an update where I am daily. It gives me an update at the end of the month. And this is the future where people, probably teachers, I've seen where Duolingo also has an aspect where they're connecting with universities and high schools, where they're integrating Duolingo in classes. So imagine if you hate Spanish, your teacher can make Duolingo a part of your assignment. That can be your homework assignment, that you do an hour of Duolingo, and Duolingo can show her, because I've said that I must do 15 minutes of Duolingo every day. And when I do it, I get points, and then they trick me, they gamify me into doing 5 more minutes for extra points. So I see that's where the future is, as Ms. Aiken mentioned, tapping into our focus, because Web 2.0 kind of took a bit of that, where we kind of doom scroll, we're just online, just zooming, not really focusing, right? While I think with AI, the part of it where it's being adaptive to us, it is learning about us. Particularly, your Duolingo experience is not my Duolingo experience, right? Because I choose my time and it changes daily. And when I don't do what I should, it sends me the little owl who is angry with me. And when I'm doing well, the little owl is happy. And these things motivate me personally. So the adaptive aspect of AI for the future, I think, is something that's really, really going to be important. And the individual assessment of assessing students, and also connecting, because it still has the aspect where I'm doing competitions with my friends that are in other countries, right? I'm partnering with them. As Ms. Aiken mentioned, the fact that the students want to partner, they want to work with other people now, right? So I'm doing my little friends quest with 3 friends. So we have to get all our points in 30 days. And I think those things have made me stick to it. And I'm now at day 176, which I could not have done before. So Mark, I think that's the future. Being adaptive, assessing, getting people to work together, but in an online, in an AI software. So not necessarily ChatGPT, but an actual software that's using these artificial intelligence technologies to be specific to each student in your class.
I think also one of the things that we need to realize is that what is out there is not just for entertainment. And I think that is where we got lost, because we've used these things to entertain us and not realize how we can tap into it to benefit us. So now that we are learning about it, even take for instance the whole TikTok thing. People used to use TikTok just for entertainment, but now you're learning, you can use it to actually advance your education. So in another 5 years, based on what you're getting here and you're sharing it with your friends, if people can find out that these things are not just there for me to post something for others to laugh, but for someone to learn something, then in 5 years, you would see a vast change in how we interact with others, in persons coming up with their own little businesses and things like that. So I'm thinking now that in another 5 years, using AI, we can move from where we are and go further in terms of our education.
I love those both comments. Thanks for sharing those. And there was a bunch of comments about TikTok in the chat over here. I have to admit that I'm not on TikTok, but Instagram is where I spend most of my time, and that's where I find all of my recipes for cooking. So I can, yeah, it's wonderful. And so, but I think that raises a really important point, is that, you know, these technologies, a lot of times we're sort of wired to understand them as entertainment tools, but they're using some really important psychological like structures to encourage and incentivize certain behavior. And that streak on Duolingo is unbeatable for sure. I think I got to like 10 maybe once, but I need to get back to it, and that reminded me. So thank you for that, Ms. Patterson. I think a couple other points just to raise. I think the capability of AI technologies in particular to create adaptive and personalized learning, I think, is a really important future for education. As a teacher who's teaching, 25, 30 kids, it might be very difficult for me to personalize educational experiences for all of my students. But we're starting to see technologies that are incorporating AI that really make a custom experience, like in Duolingo, that allow for you to like incentivize your behavior to learn faster or more efficiently or more at your level. And so my hope too is that, our future with AI is allowing us to meet learners at their level around their interests and needs. So we're down to the last few minutes here, and I'd love to close with a question that gives our audience sort of an action item. So I'd love to leave our audience with something that they can do to help enhance their own personal learning. So maybe my final question to our panelists, who've all shared how they're learning with new technology: what is one step that our audience members, our participants can take from you all to begin their own learning journeys with technologies, whether it has to do with Web3 or blockchain or AI? What are some things like that you would recommend our audience members do to get out there and begin their own journeys? What are the action steps that they can lead with today? So maybe I'll start. Chanel, would you mind starting? Maybe just jump in and tell us a little bit about like, what are some things that our audience members can lead with in terms of ways that they can begin their learning journeys with technology?
You can hear me? Good? Okay. So I think this is an important thing. I've always had this love-hate relationship with technology personally. It's like it's there, but I get it, kind of didn't get it. I'm always the one struggling with some simple task, and my friends are making fun of me. And then on the flip side, my Jamaican parents, they don't know anything about technology, and they think I like work for Best Buy Geek Squad. So then they come to me, and I'm like, I'm not that person. So in any event, I say all that to say I have a friend who's in tech, and one day I asked him, how did you get into it? Like, what made you want to do technology of all things? And his response to me, I'll never forget, it was, I just wasn't afraid of it. Like, I wasn't afraid of it. That was it. Like, and I realized that I was so afraid of it. And I did the same thing again with Web3, where I was so afraid of it that I just dragged out getting started, really diving all the way in because I was just terrified. And so I think the first step is really just understanding that. I think it's a quote Bob Marley has, since we're Jamaican and dealing with Jamaica right now. I forget the verbatim what it is, but it's something like, why would I listen to someone else, like another human, when they were once a baby? So the idea is that, we all started out, in theory, knowing nothing on this like physical plane. We had to learn how to talk, learn how to walk, learn how to do all these things. So just like anything else, technology is just something to learn. It's not something that you're incapable of learning. It's approaching it from this place of excitement to learn something, as opposed to being fearful of it, especially when it's something that's here. It's here. It's not going anywhere. It's only getting more advanced. So to keep running from the thing that's just outside at this point, it doesn't make any sense to do that. So it really is it just serves everyone to be excited about it. So to me, that's step one. Once you get excited about the thing, then you can, go on the internet. You the basics at this point, you can get started. Or if you see someone ask them what they're doing, and just even if you're getting one line here, you start to piece together the terms and how things work, and then you can go to the next step and the next step. I hope that answers it.
That's awesome. Thanks so much. Ms. Patterson, Ms. Aiken, love to hear from you guys too.
When you asked the question, for me, 3 things came to mind immediately. The first thing I would advise everyone is to be curious. Second, to be diligent. Third, to be cautious. So curious, diligent, cautious, CDC. Curious in that, as Chanel mentioned before, have an interest, right? Don't be afraid to read about these things, check it out. As I said, TikTok is a great place. I look on TikTok. There are apps, there are videos on YouTube. Go on ChatGPT and just ask it some questions, see what it's like, right? Be curious, step out, find out this information, search for it. As the gentleman, the moderator said earlier, it's not going to come to you. That period is over. That dispensation has gone. This is the time of those of individuals stepping forward to take what's necessary for them, right? So be curious. Then be diligent. When you're curious, you're going to find things out, and it's up to you to decide how far you'd like to go. So we all heard about YouTube. How many of us had started the videos, the channel? How many of us had a website? How many of us had an Instagram page? There were some who did. There were people I saw online who literally, I watched them start their career to know they're multimillionaires, and I didn't jump in. That's my fault. So it's the same as you mentioned. It's up to you to tap into this, but it's going to require diligence. So you may need to learn to prompt engineer, which is learning how to speak to these learning language models, or ChatGPT, Claude, these things, learning how to work, because I didn't give the statistics, but there are millions of jobs that are going to be lost, but there are also millions of new jobs coming in. And so for the university, I'm targeting the university students here, you need to learn, be diligent in learning about this. Teachers the same. It's another thing, it's overwhelming, but learn some of these AI softwares, because it will make your life easier. And then finally, being cautious. They've mentioned, Mark mentioned it, I mentioned it a bit as well, that there is the aspect of data and privacy, right? The fact that using ChatGPT, there are biases sometimes that you have to look out for, and also they're just making sure information is correct, right? So you have to be cautious, protecting your own data, not putting out things you don't want out there. So that's the third step that we need to go into. So those are my 3 recommendations. Be curious, be diligent, and be cautious.
And let me just add, let me say, I'm from the days before telephone, right? So yeah, I'm from the days before telephone. I remember when I was at church and saw my pastor with that fridge. And we're like, whoa, right? So for me, I was one of those who was didn't want to do anything with technology at first, but I've learned, and how I learned is that through others. I wasn't afraid to say, okay, show me what this. My daughter is 24. And so in order, when COVID came about and we had to shift how we were teaching, I had to learn. And so I had to be open to say, I don't know how to use this. So one of the things that you have to do is also, if you do not know, don't be afraid to say to your friend, why my youth, I don't know how to use this thing. Show me how to do it now. And that's what we had to do. So don't be afraid to say to someone, can you show me how to use this? And as my panelist here mentioned a while ago, in terms of being cautious, right? Remember that there's certain things, anything that you put out there, it's there. You won't be able to take it back. So be very careful of what you put out there, not just about yourself, but about others. So you have to be very mindful of others as well. Another thing is that don't be afraid to try. Try this one, try that one. And when you do it, send it to a friend and say, what do you think about this? What do you think about that? Like, for even at school right now, when it comes on to Mother's Day, I'm always trying to do something different using AI, putting something out there for the mothers to see. And at first, I had to ask somebody to help me. Now I can do it for myself. So don't be afraid to ask for help and try new things. Go on, research, do it, and be cautious. That is very important, because what goes out there, right? It may just come back to haunt you. Bless you. That's it, Mike.
Thank you
Wait,
so
Mike.
much.
Mike,
Yeah,
can
go
I
ahead.
add one? Can I add one thing to
Yeah,
what she
please.
said?
Yeah.
To the point about not being comfortable asking. The one thing that I learned in the Web3 space that it didn't even dawn on me, and all of this stuff is new. It's still new,
I'm
and
not
it's still
hearing.
new to. Oh, you're not hearing me?
No, I'm
I
not
can
hearing.
hear you okay.
Oh, the room is not hearing me.
I'm hearing no.
Oh, you're hearing? Okay. I was just saying that to one of the points that she made. This is a lot of this stuff is new territory, period, right? So stuff we're all figuring out together at the same time. So just alleviating the shame around not knowing something when it comes to anything tech related, we need to all be on the same page with that. And that's one of the things I love about the Web3 space. That as an artist, like, everyone is super open to sharing. There's no gatekeeping. It's like, you don't know this thing? Oh, I'll connect you with this person. I'll connect you with this thing. Like, everyone's excited because we want to onboard people. They want people in the community. The more people there, the more things flow, the ecosystem grows and everything. So we should all just release any shame around not knowing something. The whole point is we should be excited to help each other and excited to ask each other. That's it.
It's a great addition to, and I think so first I would love to just thank all of our panelists so much for your contributions today to the questions about the emergence of these new technologies and how this will impact education. And I think, just to close, to add a couple of other thoughts here, and Chanel, you kind of hit the nail on the head, I think, and that in the respect of, it's really important now. We're at a place in terms of these new technologies where there's a lot of opportunity that's going to be presented to everybody. What's really important is to approach that opportunity with curiosity, with an open mind. I love the CDC reference, being both cautious and curious at the same time. And the one thing I would just add on top of what's been said here is the community aspect. So Chanel, you're talking about the community. We go through school and we have classes that we're assigned to for 13 years if you go K through 12, and then college you have classes. The world is very expansive, and so we can find our own communities. So find things that you're interested in. Find a community that's willing to support whatever it is that you're interested in, and don't be afraid to ask questions. Because that is an important part of the journey, is finding those folks who you can not just learn from, but learn alongside with. And I think having a strong community, whatever that might be, whether it's social media or education or art, finding the community that you're interested in can be a great way for you to engage in learning these new technologies. And so I would just add that on top of what's been said already. But I do want to thank all of our panelists again. Personally, thank you so much for having me as a moderator this evening or this afternoon. And so I'd like to turn it back to our moderators on stage. So thanks so much.
Thank you, Mike.
Okay. All right. So coming towards the end, we have a few things to give out, but oh yes. Thank you. But I would like to just tie all of this together and glue things together with a personal example. So those of you that did stay through the whole thing, right now I'm going to try to go fairly fast. So stay with me. I'm going to, just buckle up. I'm going to talk a little bit fast, but I'm going to give you an exact way how I got into this from Jamaica, how I built the business out of this and everything. I'm going to do it very quickly. Anybody, if you pay attention, you can copy it, and I guarantee you it will work because it's working, right? So 2008, I was coming across the stage, graduating from university in New York, right? My father was looking across all the international students, China, India, England, all these different places. And each time he was asking me, where's he going after he graduates? Where's he going? This man keeps asking me all this thing. Obviously, with my accent, I spent most of my life in the States, right? What I didn't expect he was going to say, after all that, he said, so, all right, you told me he's going back to China, he's going back to England, India, all these different ones from your classmates. So he said, where are you going after you graduate? Pause. He said, you said everybody else came here, got their education, and brought it back to advance their people and so forth, right? So fast forward, that was the sales pitch my father used to bring me back to Jamaica, right? So when I came back here, I found myself in a very boring grocery business. That's our primary business. And yes, there's still local people in it. You might not see us, but there's 1 and 2 of us here everywhere in there. So I was fairly bored, always listened to podcasts, always had one ear in. That's how I kept my sanity, because I'm a chronic learner, not so much a person who has to sit in the classroom always learning, even though I went to university and everything. It just didn't stop. That was the beginning of it. So I was listening to a podcast and I heard about NFTs. That was what Chanel was speaking about earlier, the art that she was creating and so forth. Now, I always thought it was some sort of acronym, not safe for work or something like, those. So when I saw NFT, I never went into those discussions and chats and so forth, because during the pandemic, there was an app called Clubhouse. Everybody would go there. They would learn about these things and so forth, and never entered them. Heard it on the podcast. Wow, it's like a digital collectible. It's unique. Each one could be verified and not copied. So when people say people are spending millions of dollars on monkey pictures and right-clicking and saving, it's not true. They don't understand the technology. It's unique and it's different. Just like your fingerprint, your DNA, there's no match, right? So with that said, once I discovered this, walking around in a grocery store with one earpiece in, I said, wow, I'm late to this party. Because I'm here in Jamaica, I missed the boat. Visit my friends in New York, go to tell them about all this thing. Nobody knew what I was talking about. Not one of them. So I said, wait, nobody here knows this? That means I'm early. Came back to Jamaica right away. I started a podcast. I had no idea what I was doing. I'm an introvert. You can't really tell because now I'm used to talking and so forth. But I started podcasting about Web3 technology and everything because I'm working 70, sometimes 80 hours a week in the business. So I said, what can I do to get into this that's not going to take all my time? And my wife will tell you, I would come, sleepless nights, I would record, do my research, interacting with all these people on Twitter, now known as X. So if you're not on that platform and you want to learn about these things, you're running a race with water boots or work boots on. You're running slow. You want to get involved, definitely get on Twitter, X, whatever you want to call it, right? Interacting with these people, I said, I'm going to start podcasting. Everything I learn, I'm going to record it into a microphone. If nobody listens, I don't business. When I put it out there, I know I keep learning, starting getting contacts, so forth. People started to ask to come onto the show. I said, boy, I don't even have guests, right? I record this stuff in the middle of the night after I work, before I go to sleep, edit it, upload it for the morning, 365 days straight, even with COVID at 104-degree fever, right? Because I was that interested, I knew if I stopped, I was going to fall off the bandwagon and so forth. Anyways, going to the whole thing now, I'm doing all this manual, everything. So I said, all right, AI starts to come around. It's very hard to have a production company creating content and working with all these different communities, learning these different things. AI comes in, ChatGPT, which, believe it or not, AI, the history behind that, it goes back decades, but most of us heard about it, ChatGPT. If you've never used it, you're doing yourself a disservice. What I started to do was I would record things into Google Notes, right? Google Documents on my phone. Then I'd spin it up through ChatGPT. So it's all my original words, my thoughts and everything. As I'm walking around in the store, as I'm checking off checks, ideas are coming to my head, and I'm just recording them in Google Notes, Google Notes, Google Notes. And I'd have a mess of a document, all my thoughts throughout the day. I'd throw it into ChatGPT, have it organized it into sentences and paragraphs and so forth, right? Those things could then be used as content, blog posts, tweets, you name it, whatever, emails, all my words, all my thoughts throughout the day, jumbled up, rambled, and organized by AI, right? So I'm doing all these different things. Then all these Web3 companies start to say, hey, can we work with you for this and so forth and whatnot? Turning away people because remember, I don't have time. I'm a one-man army at this time. It got to the point where I started to say, well, what else could I do with ChatGPT other than just organizing my notes? Earlier, I was speaking to Trevor, and he was talking about JavaScript and so forth. I built a JavaScript application on my website, and I do not know JavaScript. How? I had the idea, and I knew how to talk to it, right? Because it was AI. So the word that was prompt engineering is just learning how to talk to the AI. I had the idea. I broke it down so simple to it that then it started to spit me back the code. I threw it up on my WordPress. It broke. Didn't work. So I said, all right, something is going wrong with this. This is what I told it to do. This is the code I put in. Anyways, it starts to then search through the different codes to see where it possibly broke. I was able to fix it, get the application up and running. Now, somebody who does not know JavaScript, in less than 3 hours, built a JavaScript application, has it up and running, put it out there on the podcast, said, hey, you want to test it? Cool. You have any ideas? I'll then go and try to make it, right? So all of this coming together now, these digital collectibles, here's a podcaster running all of this stuff as a one-man content creation, an introvert. People start to say, well, you're in Jamaica, therefore you must know Donald, or you must know, because the community within Web3, they assume if you're from Jamaica and you're in Web3, you know everybody in it, right? That's how I came to know Claudine. I was in an organization called Crypto Tech Women. I said, you're in Jamaica, you must know Claudine. I said, no. I said, all right, we're going to put you in a group chat on Twitter right there. Next thing you know, I'm at an event at another university and so forth. Now this is the second one, right? So point being, all of this, just gluing this all together. Education does not stop when you leave this university, right? That's just getting you out the door and you can put it all together, right? You use AI and it's not going to hinder your creativity. I just gave you the exact format of what I use and how I was able to build a business with it. Why? Because I know at the end of the day, I'm one of the most creative persons that I know, right? I can tell you exactly what I do and know that 99.99999% of people still are not going to do it, right? They're not going to think of all these things. They tell me you can't do that with ChatGPT. You can't do this, and I do it every day. Gets even further. Another application called Descript. I throw all of my recordings into Descript, turn it into a transcript. That thing can repurpose all of my, I don't know, thousands of recordings at this point, create unique content from my own words. So it's not plagiarizing. Why? It's thousands of hours of my own recording. So it's my ideas, my words, then formatted from all sorts of different places. Gets even crazier than that. There's a thing in there that allows to clone the voice. My wife will tell you sometimes I'm recording, it's late at night, I don't want to re-record something. Guess what I did? Put myself into Descript. I know this gets kind of crazy, but now I don't have to re-record that sentence. I just type it out and then the AI actually types it and it sounds just like me. Now, I'm telling you all of this to tell you that these tools are here. Many of them are free. Perplexity, do your research and searching for information. ChatGPT to help you to create content that's written. Descript to help you to edit, even clone your own voice. That one is paid. And quite a few other ones, right? So all of this can be done as a one-man person that was working 70 to 80 hours per week and doing this overnight, and by morning I would have content out. So you might think, no, I don't have enough time because I have school, I have this, I have all this. I guarantee you, if you do this, even if it's 2 3 hours per week, you will be so far ahead of the rest of the world. And when everybody's trying to catch up to the US and catch up to the UK and everything else, you have an opportunity right now. Don't look at that. Doesn't matter where you are in the world. If you know the information, people will come to you, right? And you can make a living right here from Jamaica. And trust me, the dollar can stretch a lot more here than it can in the States, because certain things, and I'll land the plane here, that you might be able to get $2,000 from a company, which honestly takes me 5 minutes to do, right? You know how much that is in Jamaican dollars, right? So there now, if I had a studio and I had staff and all sorts of things, that would even cover my overhead. So the opportunity is here as you're leaving school. I would say just continue learning, and it's not just about what happens between the four walls here and this seminar. I challenge you, if you're not on Twitter or X is the official word of it now, get on there. You're running a race in water boots or work boots. Just slowing yourself down if you're not on there. There's a thing called Spaces where you can join conversations. They'll bring you in, and you think of any company, anyone that you admire and look up to and want to learn. In a very short period of time, you can get a direct message from them. I don't know anywhere else in the world that you could do that. So with that said, hopefully you learned something here. Hopefully that wasn't just too fast and I wasn't rambling on, and it was of value to you. If you have any questions, I'm sure you can reach out to any of the panelists or anyone. Our information is there, our names and so forth. And at this time, I'll turn it back over to Claudine. We do have a few things to wrap up with. Thank you.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. Give him a round of applause. Give him a round of applause. Listen, you just got the cheat sheet to start in your own business. How many of you realize? Let me see a show of hands. How many of you realize you just got the cheat sheet to start in your own thing? You have heard presenters say this thing is not here as yet. So you are way ahead of the curve, okay? And so I just want to take the opportunity to say thank you. Thank you very much for coming out today. We have some prizes. The queen of prizes, she's Miss Outreach. You can see that she gives away everything. Everything she gives away, okay? So she has some more prizes even for the presenters. But I just want to take this moment to share with you. You've seen the presenters. They went through, and we had Mrs. Aiken, who blessed us. This is only possible because of God. He basically just brought us all together to do this. And we have seen everyone came up, they speak, and they basically let you know what it is that is there. So why are we here today? To get ready to embark on the electrifying journey into the future of education. As AI and Web3 shift pedagogy, it is imperative we have a space to engage. I am grateful to announce that the AI Web3 Pedagogy events is here to facilitate this movement. We are here to embrace the future of education with the love of learning. We're stepping into an era of education, one where the power of technology meets the heart and compassion of teaching. The fusion of AI and Web3 technologies is reshaping the educational landscape, making it innovative, adaptive, and above all, inclusive. At the heart of this transformative movement lies what we are here today experiencing. The AI Web3 Pedagogy event. It's a heartfelt initiative designed to illuminate the path forward through intimate, in real life. This is what we're doing in real life, IRL. And once you get into these spaces, you'll realize that a lot of little terms are mentioned. IRL is one. So we do educational conferences, we do workshops, we do seminars. We're creating spaces for educators by educators. We believe in the power of human connection, and our goal is to introduce our cherished Jamaican institution to the wonders of this specialized platform and movement. So I just want to say thank you. Thank you for joining us today as we embark on this beautiful journey, bridging the gap between tradition and technology, all while embracing the warmth of human understanding. Together, let's create an educational experience that's not just advanced, but profoundly caring, where every student and educator feels valued, supported, and inspired. So thank you, thank you, thank you very much for coming out. Thank you so much to our presenters. Thank you so much to Mr. Tyrone Anderson, Senior Director. And I can't believe I did that up here. Mr. Tyrone, you are such a gentleman. And thank you so much for taking the time. Put your hands together, please, for taking the time to come and stay with us all day. This is wonderful. And yeah, it encourages me that the Ministry of Education is actually vested in our future. And that is something that I want you guys, just give him another round of applause, because so most of the time they visit the presentation and then they leave. And so this is wonderful. I want to thank you, Mr. Anderson. I'll stick to Mr. Anderson. Thank you, Miss Aiken. And thank you so much, Miss Patterson. Thank you, Mr. Osborne. Thank you so much to the University of UCC for welcoming us, for doing this. And believe me, I am a lifelong learner, and this is a common space for me. This is where I'm comfortable. I'm comfortable in school. My friends will tell you that I am always learning something. Always, always, always. Don't ask me how much of anything I have. I will not share it. All right. But I'm in school all the time, and I am grateful for that. And that's the reason why I'm here today, to share with you all of the things that are out there that can advance us as a little tiny nation into something bigger than we can ever imagine or perceive. So thank you so much. But I want you to put your hands together for the gift lady, but most importantly, our moderator, MC, is our technician. Oh my God, Tasha, you are amazing. I want to thank you so much for the work that you've done today. Thank you, thank you, thank you so much. So I'm going to hand over to the Vibes Master, the lady that gives away everything, Venice Morrison.
Good day, good day, good day. Actually, me have them pretty bag here. I just have give away the bag them by themselves here. No man, you have to put something in. I swear to you, I said the bag them is so pretty. Look how them nice. With the AI and everything. And so I said, we're going to give away the bags them alone. You want the bag alone? Come for it, darling. Come for it. You see, come and get it. Come and get it, man. This is it. Come and get it. I mean, actually, I'm going to put something in there for you. I'm going to get the empty bag. See, it's empty. For real. It is empty. It is empty. It is empty for real. So I'm going to put something in the whole bag. I'm going to give you a t-shirt. You get a shirt already? Oh, God, you're full of shirt. All right. An earphone and a key ring. All right, go shopping. All right, and Miss Claudine Coley, you have to go call up the important people them that me can give them gift, because you say if I put something in for them bag, that's why they might get something in it. Man, shall I pick it up and it empty? Please check it. So tell me.
This one has something. Mr. Anderson, could you bless us with your presence down here, please? Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much for taking the time to come and spend with us. We appreciate you, and you get some nice little goodies in there. Okay, you're welcome. Mr. Osborne, could you bless us with your presence, please? Yes, you do. Yes, you do. Yes, you do. Thank you so much for, helping to organize this. You have been very, very crucial in us getting, you guys. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much. Miss Aiken. No, Miss Aiken. I've known Miss Aiken from like so long. We attend Excelsior together, so that's how long I've known her. So I am so grateful for her taking the opportunity to come here today and spend some time with us. Thank you very much. And Miss Patterson. Miss Patterson, thank you, thank you. This is a phenomenal speaker. I met her at an event and I just knew I had to have her here today to speak to you. And young people, you should connect with her because she will tell you how to use social media responsibly. She's an advocate and she is an phenomenal person. Am I missing anyone? Yes, we are. Our moderator or MC. Ladies and gentlemen, let me hear you give Taj a wonderful round of applause. Oh my God, this gentleman was doing everything. He was the technician. He was the on stage. Oh, listen, thank you so much. Oh, you tap it up? You tap it? Oh, of course. Listen, you give them some stickers. The extra things is for wife. Okay. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you for coming out. And are we good? Is there anything else? We do have, and if you want to ask us any questions or anything like that, it's room number 6. You have a watch? I can't get the watch. Why not? I don't have any watch on. Okay. So how you want to give? Oh. Oh, her thing is set. The crew member is set. Okay, so what you want me to ask? Who can name 3 of the presenters today? A quick show of hand. Who can name? That is so easy. 3 of the presenters today. No. You put your hand. Hers was up first. All right. Let me hear. Do not read it from the paper. Mike? Oh, she said Mike. Dr. Mike. Awesome. Okay. Oh, guys, give her a better round of applause, please. Better round of applause. Yes. And remember, just try the things that are out there. Try cautiously, as our presenter had mentioned, Ms. Patterson mentioned, cautiously. Be curious, just go learn something new. So we're going to have a networking session. That's in room number 6. If you have any questions and you want to ask us, please do come and join us. And until we meet again, we're going to be doing this again. I am going to be here, maybe not here, maybe at another university. Just look us up. I hope Mr. Osborne welcome us again. But listen, it is a journey that I am not leaving you out of. So thank you so much for having us. And we do look forward to networking with you and answering any questions that you may have. Thank you.